going to hide non-video. There we go. All right. All the non-video participants are hidden, so we can commence with the show. Our first guest is a man who has done so much for the theater community within the past month, and arguably you could say 24 years of his life. His name is Brandon Crawford, and he's not just a man.
Thank you. We don't have an applause insert just yet.
Yeah, don't worry. We'll fix it in post, as we like to say in the theater. We'll fix it in post. Shout out to Mark Finley, who taught me that, which in this situation is meaningless because we are not in a theater. Brando is the executive producer and director of Acting for a Cause. He's going to talk a lot more about that, but he is also a director and has worked with people like Margaret Qualley, Florence Pugh, and has worked with people like Ron Howard, Brian Grazer, and Kenneth Lonergan. Kenneth Lonergan, man. And he grew up in Oak Park, Illinois, right out of Chicago. And, that's generally a Chicago accent. Is that right?
That was about right.
Close enough.
Close enough. Okay. And he does a bunch of other things. He runs an ethical investments firm, Brandon Crawford and Associates, yes. LLC, and runs a homeschool and school alternative schooling program with his mother.
That's amazing. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
My second person I'm introducing might as well have been the first. She's been a friend of mine for 5 years. She started out as my stage manager and soon and not slowly became my best friend. Her name is Caturah. Caturah Brown is in the house.
I love your head wrap.
Thank you.
Yeah, her hair.
Absolutely gorgeous.
Had it on for 5 days straight and not taking it off anytime soon. Because where am I going?
Where are we going? Exactly.
We're going on Zoom. That's all we're doing. Let's be real frank here. Caturah recently created and founded Online Theater Company, a weekly reading series of new plays over Zoom and Facebook Live. She got her BFA in acting from Marymount Manhattan College and completed the Midsummer in Oxford program with a concentration in Shakespeare at Bada. British Academy of Dramatic Arts. Oh my God.
That's the stuff.
I've ruined her life, and she's here with us. Welcome.
I just want to say that I read in your Instagram bio for this podcast that you're having conversations with people that are more successful than you. So I'm confused as to why I'm here, but I'm happy to be here.
I have to ask you, wait, when did you graduate Marymount?
2017.
Do you know like Olivia and Pasquale and
yeah.
Oh my God.
Olivia Reagan and they were high school
together.
Oh, you went to high school with them? I don't know why I paused after. You went to high school?
You went to high school with them? Sorry, I just had to ask you.
Yeah, no worries.
The amount of mutual friends Caturah and all of us have is probably crazy. Like even with
probably a lot more.
Oh, I'm sure.
It's ridiculous. Sure. She knows everybody who attended the open call for Hairspray, basically. Well,
was I cast? No.
Brando, I'm going to hand it over to you for a sec. I want you to talk to us about Acting for a Cause.
Yeah, so Acting for a Cause, I appreciate that introduction, by the way. I was very honored, and it's really cool to be on this podcast with all of you guys. I'm very, very honored. But Acting for a Cause was, how do I put this? Initially, Acting for a Cause was a group of high schoolers and that I was a part of. We were all teenagers, and we would put on plays that we would write and always choose a specific cause that was special to us, whether it be Autism Speaks or a Veterans Fund or the local community arts center. There was always an important cause. And like any high school theater group, it was filled with drama and craziness, and eventually the group burst into flames, and we never talked about it again. But that planted the seeds for what Acting for a Cause is today. Acting for a Cause today was founded 3 weeks ago, and Acting for a Cause is the idea that we can bring together very well-known actors, represent young Hollywood. I think that young Hollywood has the activism flame inside of them. And I really wanted to kind of connect those flames and create a firestorm of great actors. So we put together our first reading. We've done 3 readings so far. We have 2 upcoming planned. Our readings are every Friday at 4. But we had an Academy Award nominated actress, Florence Pugh, in This Is Our Youth.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah, she's from Little Women and Midsommar. Alex Wolff from Hereditary, and Justice Smith from Detective
and the Naked Brothers band.
That's right, and the Naked Brothers.
Sorry, bro.
They actually
Brothers band. I love that.
I believe, and I don't want to say this, just straight up, but I do believe that they had a Naked Brothers band reunion over Zoom live a week after our reading of This Is Our Youth. And Alex had talked to me about using live software. And so I don't know if I inadvertently reunited the Naked Brothers band. So you have that. But so the upcoming reading, we're doing Romeo and Juliet in 2 days, which is insane. 3 days on Friday at 4. Margaret Qualley will be a part of it. We also have David Cornsweet, who's Ryan Murphy's muse. He was in The Politician.
Oh my God.
Right?
Love that.
He's also in Hollywood, which is premiering on Friday on the day of our reading, which is very exciting. Brandon Flynn is returning. He was in 13 Reasons Why. He was in a reading of Hamlet last week. So, I mean, I could keep going and name dropping, and the list goes on. I actually hate the name dropping aspect, but what's so cool about this is a project that I would do with friends if I had any. But instead, I get to collaborate with my favorite actors and, basically, truly the most important part is that we're doing it all for charity. And because these bigger names are involved and it has some artistic integrity to it, we're able to raise considerable amounts of money to the tune of $24,000 so far. Hopefully, our goal is to do 100,000 before the reading series is over and donate.
Yeah, man. That's phenomenal. That's exactly like how people should be using their time for the greater good, using Hollywood, manipulating the system into doing right.
Not manipulating the system.
It's exactly what you're doing, and it's fine. Caturah, if you will, talk to us a little bit about Online Theater Company.
Yes, please.
Okay, so Online Theater Company was started by myself and my really good friend, Michelle Chahade. We worked together at this tiny little Chinese restaurant in Hartsdale, New York. And before this whole thing happened and we all lost our jobs. But anywho, so we both worked there, and he's an actor, director, playwright, very talented individual. And we're both always coming together, trying to figure out ways to push each other to try to be the best artists that we could be for ourselves. So when this all happened, the two of us, we were of course very upset. We were very depressed, and we were just trying to figure out a way to keep ourselves active. So we decided to get a bunch of our friends together, actors, playwrights, lovers of the arts, and just create a group so that we can give people an opportunity to show off their work and to meet other people that are also trying to do the same thing that they're trying to do, so that when this whole thing is over, then we'll still have a network of people that we can hopefully work with later on in the future. So we decided to come up with Online Theater Company. So we created a Facebook group, and in that group, we create polls. It started off as creating polls for every day, what plays we're going to have read for Friday at 8:00 on Zoom, and also broadcast on Facebook Live. So those plays would be submitted to us from new playwrights, or just people that have written something and just want to hear it out loud, have people talk about it, give them their opinions. And every Friday we would come together with new artists that also just want to have their work be seen by other people, but also don't want their tools to get rusty. Because with artists, you know, like
Right.
if you don't do anything for a little bit of time, then you tend to feel a little subconscious about your talents when you start to dive back in. So this is just a way for us to continue to stay active in a world that's right now that seems sadly inactive at the moment. And also I've met a ton of great people that I haven't met before and who are also like super, super talented. So this is a way for people that have projects coming up or that also want to create their projects to think, oh, okay, well, I saw this actor in this reading, or this person wrote a really good play that I read. So maybe I want to contact them in like the next month or so when I get back to working on my project, so that we can hopefully create something together as well. So it's been a really good time. It's been a lot of fun. Keith has come to a good couple of our sessions, and we've just had
share of performances over this computer.
And the plays that we get, they're so good, and they're so like very smartly written, and they're just for everybody. They're for everybody to read, everybody to listen to, and this is really just so that we don't lose hope, because it's very easy when you lose hope it's hard for you to get it back. So this is just to give you something to look forward to during this.
It's brilliant that you're doing something like this right now. We, like you said, we need to find a way to keep active and to keep hope and know that, you know, this isn't going to be the situation forever. And even though there's been a lot of loss for everybody in terms of jobs, especially theatrical wise, we're going to get through this. And, you know, this is amazing what you're doing. Seriously.
Thank you.
It's fascinating, because I actually don't see a huge difference between the organizations that obviously there's like a whole philanthropic aspect to what Brando is doing, and he's using that networking as being like an executive director to make art for people who need it, and to make money for communities that need it as well, whereas Caturah is using the community she has
and trying to also like grow the community as well.
I wanted to ask Brando, what is the process for reaching out to the communities? Who are the communities you're reaching out to, and how do you get folks excited for it?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. I think, it's interesting in that 95% of my work is done from an executive level rather than like an artistic angle, which is, you know, in contrast to Caturah. I think that Caturah has, in a sort of way, there's something really lovely about being able to focus what I probably presume is 95% artistic and 5% organizational, because it's done within a network. I'm definitely jealous of you in that sense, Caturah. 95% that is executive work resonates with me. Like, you know, I do own an ethical investments firm, and we have we control a $10 million portfolio of real estate that is primarily for single mothers and people who need like affordable things. So affordable places to stay and payment plans and things that typically are not made available. So I've used that process that I use in finding the right tenants and the right clients for our firm, and just applied it to actors. There's definitely an advantage of coming at it from a producer's perspective. While I was not heavily producing before 3 weeks ago, I was heavily involved with the It Gets Better Foundation, which was founded by Savage. Yeah.
Yes.
Very important to me. I actually appeared in there was a music video we made called Make It Stop with the band Rise Against. And that was kind of my first taste into producing and organizing. Moved on, I was very involved with Broadway Cares and Equity Fights AIDS. It's very important to me. I had a very dear friend who I ended up actually becoming the legal guardian for. He died of AIDS in 2017. So all these kind of personal ties and being able to have produced charities with passion led me to be able to I think feel confident enough to approach the right people. And when you come at things from a perspective of experience and confidence and passion, it's not that people don't say no to me, because I do get a lot of no's within the industry, or maybe later's, polite declines, but it's that I don't take no for an answer, and I work hard to find people that will say yes.
Right.
And
it's about finding the right people, which is
Exactly.
like something that Chris and I have been focusing on with this podcast a little bit.
Definitely.
It's like
yeah,
we right. We want to find the people who are accessible and open to collaborating on the work that we know they could be a part of.
We've been very lucky
podcast for
so
your
far,
purpose.
which I'm
Yeah.
lovely.
And through like accepting like where we're at and like what we're doing, because like I want to take a second to like recognize like why we started this. I don't think we actually said it.
We've talked about it like here and there, but
yeah, no, spit it, Chris. Spit the bar.
no, yeah, I mean, like, I remember when you called me, like, talking about this idea, and I was just like, I think that this is something really cool to connect not only the theater community, but just artists from all aspects of life. For me, I was on a national tour, my first national tour, when the virus ended, and as a result, the tour was canceled. And I know that Keith suffered a very similar fate. It was perfect timing to really, put our minds together and do something creative. And honestly, we started this out being like, you know what, if we just get our friends on to just like shoot the shit, like that's fine too. And we've been really blessed so far to have some incredible guests so far. And this is only episode 5.
Yeah, feels like 5 million. Now, I also just like want to keep it. I'm curious as to like what you guys have been watching, how you've been streaming. Like we did it. We promoted your services, and I'll tell you what's gonna happen. We're gonna take the sound bite and we're gonna make little fucking clips of each of you people. We're going to distribute them to the masses. Caturah, what have you been streaming?
Okay, so I just finished watching Little Fires Everywhere, which I'm in love with, and I'm very happy about. No spoilers. No. Of course not. Oh wait, no. Did you want me to add a spoiler? No, I won't do that. I won't do that. No, but I'm so happy for this because I remember watching American Son with Kerry Washington and just being God. Yeah, that was my face. So when I watched Little Fires Everywhere, and I never realized how good Reese Witherspoon is. She's really good. She's really, really good. I've also watched this weird documentary about...
I love documentaries.
I love documentaries. I love murder documentaries.
Me too!
Yes, I'm a freak! So you'll love this one. I can't remember the name of it. It's this documentary about these 2 girls. I think they were 12 years old. And they attempted to kill their friend because Slender Man told them to. And it was it was a dive into that like creepypasta wiki page and how like the Slender Man
I'm watching this.
Stories. It's on YouTube.
Brando, what are you streaming?
Yeah, no, I was curious to hear those 2. Little Fires Everywhere. It's so cool when you follow actors' careers and then you see, I think one of my favorite things is watching actors I love collaborate that I would have never expected. And that's a great example. I don't know. I'm weird, and you can probably relate in this too, in that I'm not as current. I'm watching a lot of old shows that I wanted to see for a while. Obviously, I loved, in the documentary field, we could talk about Tiger King all day, and that was like the first week.
Yes, we could talk about all day.
Talk about your shirt.
Yeah, I almost wore a tiger print. It's still like circling through my head. I feel like it's like the documentary equivalent of like Breaking Bad for me. I just like love it. I also have been revisiting a lot of old shows because in preparing for the series, and I'm not going to delve back into that again, but I've been trying to see works of different actors that I kind of want to like bring back into the play and into the forefront. So like I love Lost. I've been watching Lost is one of my favorite shows that I've been revisiting and saying like, that was a big ensemble cast. A lot of things with big ensembles. Buffy. I've been going back and watching. This is one of those shows that now the name is slipping from me. Freaks and Geeks. Freaks and Geeks is another.
Yeah.
And I so
Taken too soon.
kind of like from a scouting perspective and trying to find actors I want to reach out to.
Yeah.
Also from a perspective of I don't know, just like nostalgia, and the whole world is on pause and new works aren't being made necessarily.
Right.
And so like Ozark season 3 came out and other things. There's going to be Ozark season 3. I got to work.
Are you all caught up? Did you finish it?
I am caught up.
Okay. We're going to spoil some shit because we need to talk about this. This season of Ozark, I'll tell you why it's the most viewed thing on Netflix right now. It's because they managed to find the authentic voice of mental illness in a story that was not about mental illness at all. And they find these ways to like plant seeds that deal with social issues that whether or not they're relevant, they're real. And like that's why I love these sort of like cartel dramas like because it is the birth child of Breaking Bad. Like let's be blunt.
It is.
There'd be no Ozark without Breaking Bad. But Tom Pelphrey, if you get Tom Pelphrey to be in one of your readings, everybody is gonna like be live crying. He plays Laura Linney's brother, and Laura Linney in this season is that Emmy is hers.
Yes.
Hers.
Oh, I love Laura Linney.
Same with Carrie.
Laura Linney.
Maybe.
I'm going to jump in and just state the obvious. I mean, I did actually get the chance to work with one of the actors that's in every episode of this last season of Ozark. Jessica Francis Dukes was a part of our first live read. She plays. So she is. Her part is not written to shine like Julia Garner, for example. But she plays the kind of like sheriff, police detective, if you want to look her
FBI
up.
lady.
Right, FBI lady.
She's a phenomenal actress.
She's unbelievable. And she's pretty much a newcomer. Before this, she was in, Jessica Jones for like a few episodics. But I feel like she is one of those actresses that I just want to name. She's great inside and out, and having been able to work with her in that first reading, she was generous enough to give us her time on the day that Ozark season 3 was released. So that was really cool of her. Jessica, so just a quick shout out to her. Julia Garner is someone who I've been following her career since. There was an amazing movie she made with Kieran Culkin where she plays an Amish or Mormon girl. It's called Electric Dreams, I think.
Never seen it. I love Kieran Culkin. I love Succession. If you've seen Succession, oh my god.
Yes.
Go down that rabbit hole. Oh my god.
Tying it, so Julie Garner has had a career for so long, and she's been part of this age group where I hear everyone's name besides her. I just feel like it's just like finally, it's like she's finally
her time.
Had her time. She's been clocking in for like 10 years. She's been clocking in since she was a teenager, and like a 13-year-old, I think, is when she was like first really getting started. I think that I just can't wait to see her take on a role on the big screen.
Caturah, how is where are you from, and how is your hometown handling everything?
So I'm born and raised in White Plains, New York, Westchester County, and I haven't been outside in a couple of weeks. So, but from what I hear from my parents, it's not super crazy. We're lucky to live in an area where like the people here, they're not quick to just jump to complete chaos. So the lines at Sam's Club, they're long, but they're organized and people are respectful. The streets are quiet. Everybody's just from what I know of like what I see on my Instagram, for what my mom tells me when she goes outside, because I do not, everybody's been pretty calm, pretty respectful. What I see on Facebook, though, from other areas where people aren't handling it as well, that it does sadden me. But I mean, hopefully we get, I just, the hope is that everybody comes to like a mutual consensus, that the quicker that we all just get on the same page and the quicker that this will all be over.
Exactly.
There's a lot of people who, and this is crazy to say, I know, but like there's a lot of people dying of just sheer ignorance.
Right.
And it just, that needs to be said, and it needs to be like shouted from the rooftops. You cannot like, if the house is still on fire, you can't go back in. Just
Did you
get
hear
out.
about the leader of the anti-stay-at-home rallies in, I think, one of the Carolinas? She was diagnosed with coronavirus.
God said, "Oh, you want to try it? All right."
Does not,
because
like,
it's just like, it's really not that hard. Like, I think that's the problem with us too, especially like if you live in big city areas. Like, it's hard for people to like just be still and just like be with themselves. It makes people go actually insane. The biggest thing that, like, I understand if people need fresh air, like if you go to the grocery store and back home, but like the parks, like how Central Park is like popping and jamming and everyone's having a concert and everyone's like
you people?
elbow doing the Macarena. I'm like, girl, you're gonna pass away.
I've had to, in order for me to not get so angry about the situation, I've had to think and realize that not everybody is as fortunate to have a place to stay at home where it's like calm, it's quiet, you have food. If you were, God forbid, you had to stay indoors for like a whole however long straight, then you can do that. There's some people that don't have that. But also there's people that the government says stay at home. They're like, oh, okay, now is the perfect time for me to go hike. Or now is the perfect time for me to throw a barbecue in Times Square, because I've never expected to do that before. But now is the perfect time. It doesn't make sense to me.
Brando, please tell me that like there are no stupid people in Illinois. I want the answer to be yes.
Yeah.
Well,
With my hair.
I live in a blue state. We're pretty okay. We have an amazing mayor, and I think that the communication, I haven't seen anything that's absurd. I feel like things are going really well, and the news seems to portray us in a good light. Chicago's flattening the curve, which means that we're peaking.
Amazing.
It may end quicker here than, for example, New York. I think that I don't know. I this may just be coming from a place of empathy. I do feel really bad for small town America. Obviously has ignorance problems in different respects. Education, the way they approach it sometimes has a small town mindset. I do feel like a lot of them, though, are small business owners and rely on interaction. And it is very real that, people are being financially affected right now. People who are fighting the fact that there's closures, I think a lot of them are, the reason why they are fighting is because they have a reason their finances are bad. They're not able to pay their mortgage. There's a very real fear that the government that's telling them to stay closed can then take away their property. And I think that's a big flaw right now. It's like, okay, we're and this is happening not just at the national level. This is not just, this comes down to the local level and how people are dealing with this. There's not enough of a financial security blanket being woven. And I feel like the problem is that a lot of people are so stressed out because of what's going on right now that we're causing deaths, in a sense, that we're causing people to, you never know, someone's getting cancer. And then another thing that's being left unaddressed, unfortunately, and I grew up in a situation where there was abuse and neglect, is that, while the shelter in place, we have to stay in, there is an issue that kids who are being abused at home are now there all day long.
Yes, that
And
is
so
horrible.
I think that the conversation should be sensitive to, there's people who are fighting the shelter in place, and they're coming from a place of humanity. And we have to remember that they're not just, the same people. I mean, like, some of them are the same
Right.
people who are
No, not at all.
waving Confederate flags around and being absolute douches, and causing our country to be in this horrible situation it's in from an intellectual perspective. But there's also people who are coming from a very real perspective. And I think that that's the majority of the people who are fighting it. And so in a sense, I think that, if there's anything that needs to be shouted from the rooftop, while, yelling that we should unite into the shelter in place, there has to be a certain care and caution in approaching a subject like this. Our first cause ever was, before trying to fund hospitals, which is what we've been doing more recently.
Right.
But our first cause initially was arts schools. My family runs that homeschool in-school program that you mentioned at the beginning. And we work with a theater company called Ovation, where I trained as a kid, and it ignited my love. And there's a dance school locally. And, Lucante Dance Studio is a huge historic local dance school, and it shut down like on week 2 of the quarantine because they were paying their instructors, and they had no sort of rent protection and, or mortgage protection. And they realized this is not going to be viable. If this goes on for another 3 months and we're paying our instructors, the rest of our, of our life will be just working on how to, fund themselves out of a deficit. And that's torture. I mean, I feel bad about going on and on and on about.
No, I mean, you're making a shit ton of sense is the problem here. And
I think it's all about balance. It's like, like if you need to go outside, like in terms of like your mental health and like get fresh air on your body, I completely understand.
Right.
But I think the problem is when we're not obeying the social distancing. You can be outside while still respecting the social distancing guidelines that the government, that our mayors are putting in place for our safety and for our health.
I was biking today. I biked to my high school, and it was I felt like a real bike. I felt like Lance Armstrong. It was wonderful.
You need that.
Without the steroids, obviously.
God.
But I was on my way back, and I saw this lady coming towards me on the sidewalk, and she was like, "No, come this way." And she was like in her scooter chair, and I wanted to be like, "No, I'm gonna back up, actually, because I feel like I'm just gonna go away. Don't worry, we don't have to pass each other, because that's on me. That's the truth. That's what people don't realize when they step outside. It's on you. And this is for now, by the way. Like, I know that it seems like, the worst it can be is 2022, right? And I feel like that is not forever, and that is scary. That is not.
My heart just went in my throat. I was like 22.
Yeah, absolutely not, darling. No. No, it's getting better. Like
it is.
I know Cuomo is already talking about plans to get everything back to normal. So it really is getting better.
Right.
No
and
right.
Why
is that pool
Don't
open?
hold hands in a circle and say kumbaya with a stranger.
I can swim in my bathtub. What do I need a pool for?
Swim in the shower.
Caturah, do you have a shower?
I do have a shower. Sometimes when I'm bored, I just visit my shower.
Nice. Do you turn the water on, or do you just stand there?
Well, sometimes I turn the water on. There are some times where my tears is enough water, so
exactly.
Brando's drinking his tears, so he's all geared. Introducing Brando's Tears. It sounds like an acting book, honestly. That's what it sounds like.
It does.
I'm gonna have to pay you a royalty now, because that's actually the name of my book.
Is it really?
Jeez.
But now it is.
Incredible. Wait, tell us about your book.
Mind blown. I'm actually going to jump in and mention, because I was reading over the different things that I was supposed to talk about. but I absolutely didn't mention how people can be involved with acting for a cause.
Oh, yes.
Tell people. So the first thing that people can do, obviously, is donate at actingforacause.org. And what we like to say is, a lot of people are going through tough times, but I think that everyone, it's slightly like Wikipedia's campaign, everyone can give at least $5. It's something that anyone can give. I personally fund and donate to the foundation. Our actors do too. I think that everyone should give in a sense to be part of the giving, even if they're in need, because it's that kind of like pay it back sort of thing. Eventually it will come back to you.
You know what, Brando? I'm gonna give you a pitch.
Yeah,
I think you might make a lot of money this way.
Tell me.
Have you seen those ads recently where like Leo, it's like you wanna walk on set with Leo and Bobby?
Oh right, yeah.
You ought to do a walk-on thing for your acting for a cause. Do you have any idea the people who live in taverns right now that would give their right eye to work with Margaret Whaley?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Right eye.
Yeah.
Whatever you said right now has been pitched to me, and it's a tough thing. It's kind of like when Facebook. I mean, this is obviously a non-compete. This is not at all the situation that we're in.
Right.
Much bigger example, but when Facebook was basically, they were trying to decide whether to put ads on Facebook or not, and actually make money off of Facebook. So I think that a huge component is that actors want to be a part of this right now. And it's becoming a trend, and people are contacting me for the first time to be a part of the series instead of me contacting them, which is insane. And I think that part of what makes it cool is that it's grassroots and not commercial. And in these bigger organizations that do this walk-on strategy, what they have working in their favor is they're part of a giant kind of almost corporate nonprofit corp. They have a team there that, and they're known for that specific. I think that I've struggled with it a lot, but I think that right now for the artistic integrity, I'm not gonna make it into a competition. I also don't like where there's winners and losers. Like if I made it where there's like 1,000 people are donating $5 and we're making like, insane amounts of money additional from this, and only one person gets to play a walk-on role and they're like starstruck, and it turns into like almost like a Comic-Con type thing where the actors are just like, okay, hey, you're a fan, you get to pay to play or whatever. I don't know, it doesn't sit right with me. There's also people I've gotten, I think it was like, I don't know, 150 DMs in the past 3 weeks
from like actors, just like
right, from people who are wanting to audition for the project. There's other issues with that, right? So I believe in artistic integrity. I think that like there could be an unknown actor who could be the next Christian Bale that isn't in movies right now, and certainly I have the risk of missing out on working with them. But I don't think that this is this type of project has the time or the place to audition people, because we're putting together a play reading with artistic integrity in a week. So that means on Monday, I don't know who the cast is. Or let's say on the Friday, the reading ends on Friday. Friday, I respond to DMs. Saturday, I do the cut of the script. Monday and Tuesday are spent casting. So like today, I'm like 99% of the way through. All our offers are out. 9 out of 10 offers have been accepted. We have 1 role left to cast in for Romeo and Juliet. And like right now, I'm already planning the next. When is this podcast released?
Thursday.
Okay.
Yeah, Thursday.
I'm gonna say this on this podcast, and I'm gonna say it on our actual reading.
Oh shit! Here we go. I'm gonna give you the speaker view for this.
Yes, nice. So the next reading that we're going to do afterwards, which we have not talked about, and I'm actually not going to announce it on my Instagram or anywhere, so it's just on this podcast and viewers, is Pride and Prejudice. We're doing next week. And I already started working on making sure I get the script and commission and all of that today. So I'm trying to buy myself more time. There's also tons of talks like what nonprofits we're going to partner with. The National Endowment for the Arts is now involved. What publications are going to come out. And I have a PR team that I pay money out of pocket to have, which is insane. It's like with agents, with managers, you pay like a 10% royalty. And well, anyways, I'm going to, there's more, and you can come to my Instagram at Professor Brando for like more and more of like the up-to-date BTS details. But just remember, tune in Friday, 4:00, donate at actingforacause.org.
Yeah. 4:00 Central Standard Time?
Right, 4:00 my time. So that's in New York, it's 1 hour later, it's at 5 p.m. But if you're in LA and you're tuning in from the place where everyone's an actor, then 2:00 p.m. So if you, so 2:00 Pacific, 4 p.m. Central, and 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. For our
Caturah, spit when Online Theater Company goes live.
So Online Theater Company, we go live every Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time.
Nice.
So I don't know what time that is in all the other zones, but
I'm going to be tuning in. I'm so curious. I think it's so cool to see, people using tech. And I think that, just anyone who's a viewer of Acting for a Cause listening to this, I strongly encourage, I'll be tuning in this Friday to hear whatever play read you guys are doing after our play read. And I strongly encourage, if you have it in you, watch another play right after ours.
Please.
It's time to ingest theater. And this group really excites me. I think, Caturah, you're doing something really marvelous. And it's
thank you. You as well.
Just charitable in your way, because sharing your time and your talent is, that's the most valuable thing that anyone has internal. And I feel like you're doing a better job of sharing time and talent than I am. I think that I'm good at grabbing people and getting them to share their time and talent.
Thank you.
Trying to
Would we be able to exchange like emails or info after this? Because I definitely want to keep up with everything that you're doing as well. And I want to learn everything from you. Because I still have so much to learn.
Yes.
Well, I have to warn that time is slightly limited. I'd like to get the time I do have, and I absolutely would love to be in touch. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yes. Connections have been made. Opportunities have been seized. Brando finally booked that appearance on A Star Is Born that he's been eyeing for years. And I feel like we've had a fairly productive conversation here, and we could go on for hours.
We probably could.
And we will. No, we won't. I feel like this has had a full circle. We went from 12 o'clock. We went from, for all the way back to 12 o'clock. 12-hour cycle. I'd like to thank our guests. Brandon Crawford, you could check out Acting for a Cause's play reading series, which is going to go live at 4:00 Central Standard Time.
Yep.
And you could check him out at Professor Brando on Instagram.
That's right.
Caturah Brown, her online theater company, which she founded just short of a month ago, is going to go live Friday at 8:00 p.m.
Nice.
And you could check it out at Online Theater Company on Facebook. Any shout outs anybody wants to do? Brando, can put you on the spot.
Yes, absolutely. I would like to briefly, and before I make the shout out, everyone, the best thing you can do also, I forgot to mention this, you can go back and watch our last live reads. If you look up Acting for a Cause on YouTube, you can see Hamlet, This Is Our Youth, and The Importance of Being Earnest. Please do. But the shout outs tied into those last three readings are the amazing group of volunteers that occasionally I'll go on stories and go live and be like, I need 5 volunteers right now for the next 3 hours. And I'll get, people who are actually interested in doing that, which is insane, that people are that quick to act. And we were able to basically translate all of Hamlet into modern Shakespeare. I had the guy who, Michael Howell, so I'm going to go ahead and say Joe Blakey, Sophia Carlin, Stephanie Carlin, Aidan O'Leary, bunch of people on Instagram that I don't know personally that were a part of that too. And I think there's Emily and where's the other dude? There was an amazing guy who was a part of this, Emily Maltese. As I pull it up, I also, the person who did the shortening of Hamlet to, it was supposed to be 2 hours, but it ended up being 3. And he's also the person who shortened Romeo and Juliet for us. Michael Halberstam, the director of Writers Theater, is like an absolute genius and beast and force of nature. I want to give a shout out to my PR team, Well and Ali, who are amazing at Wolf Costellar. It's like a dream to work with them, and Kevin Lynn at CAA. And then I want to give a special shout out to Rachel Zegler, she's playing Maria in West Side Story, and she so badly wanted to be part of our reading series, but can't because of contract obligations. And
Don't worry, Rachel, you can always be on a stars board.
please come in. And lastly, I just want to give a shout out to all the original fans of Acting for a Cause. Now at this point we have 40,000 views on our collective play, and I feel like that number is going to increase in the upcoming weeks. But when we first started, we had 5,000 live viewers at first reading, and those are the OGs, and people like Keith who joined on the second reading, that follow Florence, or different people who just come in and trust our organization enough to give a little follow, a little like on a couple posts. It does go a long way. It means a lot, and I appreciate any sort of sharing or liking and following that can be done, because it spreads our message and increases our impact. So
it's wonderful. Caturah, any shout outs?
Yes, I want to shout out my partner, Michelle Shahade, who also has a web series on YouTube called The Actual Actors Anonymous. It's very, very funny. It's about a group of actors actually in a support group to try to get away from acting, because it's hard.
I love that.
It's really funny. I also just want to, I want to thank everybody, all of our playwrights, all of our actors in Online Theater Company that's dedicated their time to us every week, just to dedicate their talents and be in the space with us. It's been very, very helpful, and it's been very, it's been like so much fun. I've had probably the most fun that I've had in a really long time, getting to know all these people. I want to thank you guys, of course, for having me here and to talk and to just spend the day with you. I've had like a really great time.
Yes, you two are such lights and doing such incredible things.
Yes,
the world
really.
of artistry. So continue your efforts, because if this virus hasn't shown anything else, is that the world needs art. We survive and thrive on art. So thank you for everything you've done.
Thank you guys for being here.
Thank you.